A stadium built for 12,500 people. Sold out. Every seat gone. And the woman responsible hadn't even walked onto the court yet. This isn't Serena Williams. This isn't Coco Gauff. This is a 21-year-old from the Philippines named Alex Eala. 18 months ago, she was ranked outside the top 150, grinding through qualifying rounds just hoping for a shot at a Grand Slam main draw. Now, tournament directors are rearranging entire schedules to fit the crowds who want to see her play. So here's the question. How does someone with 0 Grand Slam quarterfinals, someone who's never lifted a major trophy, generate ticket demand that legends spend entire careers chasing and never reach? In professional sports, box office success follows one rule. You win, people show up. You lose, they stop coming. Alex Eala is breaking that formula in real time. She sold out a session in Toronto before her match was even played. Organizers had to move her to a bigger court in Washington because the smaller one couldn't handle demand. City after city, the pattern keeps repeating, no matter her opponent, no matter the round, no matter the result. To understand why, you have to go back to a Spanish island where a 13-year-old girl from Manila arrived with almost nothing and grew up into one of the most in-demand names in women's tennis. She was born in Quezon City in 2005. By 6, she was already competing. At 13, she left home for the Rafaen Nadal Academy in Mallorca, betting her whole future on a court in a country where she didn't speak the language. She graduated in 2023, turned pro, and climbed. By early 2026, she reached a career high of world number 20, becoming the first Filipina ever to crack the WTA Top 20 and the first to win a WTA Tour level singles title. But that doesn't fully explain the box office. This isn't one lucky tournament. Abu Dhabi, Indian Wells, Miami, Washington, Toronto, different continents, different opponents, different rounds, same result, sold out. At the Washington Open, tournament director Mark Ein confirmed ticket demand for her matches surged by at least 80% and admitted the real number was probably higher. In Toronto, tournament director Carl Hale explained why organizers moved her match to a bigger court. Their grandstand court holds 2,800 seats, and she'd likely sold more than 5,000 tickets. Then he said something that should stop you cold. They'd never seen a player ranked outside the top 5 have this kind of effect. At the time, Eala was ranked 20th. That's where this stops being about tennis rankings and starts being about something bigger. Let's stay in Toronto, where the pattern stopped looking like coincidence. Eala was set to play her second-round match on that 2,800-seat grandstand court, standard for someone ranked outside the top 10. Except ticket sales blew past that. Organizers moved her entire match to center court, the same court Iga Swiatek and Aryna Sabalenka had played that year. Then her Wednesday night session at Sobeys Stadium sold out completely. According to Tennis 365, the only other player to produce a Wednesday night sellout in Toronto over the past 20 years is Serena Williams. Carl Hale said something else that gets lost in the headline. All the tournament directors were talking about it, comparing notes, trying to understand a demand curve that doesn't match anything they'd seen from a player at her ranking. These are events built on decades of predictable logic. Top seeds get big courts, ticket demand tracks ranking. Then one 21-year-old from a country with almost no tennis history broke that model 3 times on 3 continents in a single season. Here's what almost every article about Eala misses. She's never reached a Grand Slam quarterfinal. Her best major result is a 4th-round finish at Wimbledon. She's never held a top 10 ranking, 1 WTA Tour level title. That's it. So why does her ticket demand rival players who've won majors? Here's the piece. Nobody's connecting. The Philippines has over 110 million people, and in the entire history of professional tennis, no Filipino player has ever reached the top 20. Basketball has its heroes there. Boxing has Manny Pacquiao. Tennis has had nothing. No one to point to and say, that's us, up there with the best in the world. Until now. That's what those stadiums are filling up for. Not a ranking, a first. Filipino communities across every continent. In Toronto, Washington, Miami, Abu Dhabi, buying tickets months in advance, filling entire sections with flags, not betting on a win, but finally having someone to show up for. The demand doesn't scale with performance, it scales with meaning. But this isn't just a Filipino phenomenon anymore. Underdog stories travel. A girl who left home at 13 and clawed her way from outside the top 150 into the top 20 doesn't need a Filipino passport to resonate. Stack a community that's waited generations for representation on top of a global audience that can't resist an underdog arc, and you get a phenomenon that fills stadiums regardless of seeding. The proof backs it up. Carl Hales said organizers had never seen a player outside the top 5 have this kind of effect, and he doesn't hand out comparisons like that lightly. Tennis journalist Ben Rothenberg publicly asked whether Eala might already be the most popular player in women's tennis, period, ahead of Grand Slam champions and world number 1. And the sellouts span the Middle East, the West Coast, the East Coast, and Canada, ruling out simple diaspora turnout as the whole story. So back to where this started. A stadium built for over 12,000 sold out before she'd even walked onto the court. Not a fluke. The direct result of a country starving for its first global tennis star, an underdog arc that needs no translation, and a game good enough to justify the hype. It's also rewriting how tournaments calculate value. For decades, box office power was assumed to track ranking. Eala has forced directors across 3 continents to admit, on record, that ranking and drawing power can completely detach from each other. So the real question isn't why she's selling out stadiums anymore. It's what happens when the player generating this kind of demand outside the top 5 actually starts winning the biggest matches of her career. That stadium didn't sell out because she was already a champion. It sold out because, for the first time in her country's history, there was finally someone worth showing up for. She's world number 20, still without a Grand Slam quarterfinal, still early in what should be the best years of her career, and she's already outselling players with Grand Slam trophies on their shelves. So ask yourself, if ranking 20 already produces this kind of demand, what happens when she breaks into the top 10? What happens the first time she reaches a Grand Slam semi-final? Right now, tournament directors are already struggling to find buildings big enough for a second-round match. That's today, not her peak. Just getting started. The question was never whether Eala would keep selling out stadiums. She already answered that. The real question is whether there'll be a stadium big enough for what comes next. If you want to be there when that plays out, subscribe now. This story is far from finished. If this story pulled you in the way it pulled us in while putting it together, that means more to us than any number on a screen. So do us a favor before you go. Tap that like button. It genuinely helps a channel like this reach more people who'd want to hear a story told this way. And if you're not subscribed yet, subscribe now, because we're going to be right here tracking every single step of this journey, and you don't want to miss the moment it all comes together. This story is far from finished, and neither are we.